What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 123, and I am Adam Choit. And as you can see, I have Zach Transport with me and Marley J. And I'll do the plugs and intros and all that stuff later because we got everyone right here and ready to go. And we're going to be recapping Tedeschi Trucks Band at SPAC. Is it SPAC or is it SPAC?
SPAC.
You say SPAC. SPAC. No one says SPAC.
No.
SPAC. They would be corrected and made fun of if they did that. Yeah, so you guys are both returning guests to the show, and I appreciate you guys coming on again. And I guess let's just get right into it and tell me about where you guys came in from to see the show. We'll start with Zach and then go to Marley.
Yep. Drove all the way from Natick, Mass, all the way out to Saratoga. Did it in roughly 2 hours and 45 minutes, and as always, hit traffic in Auburn. But other than that, it was smooth sailing. So, and it was a great drive out. And I got to the town of Saratoga, and then walked around to my old camping ground, my old stomping ground, Skidmore College, and then went to Sandwich Shop, Roma's, which was now renamed, but it's still great sandwiches. And then I went and hung out at the park for like a really long time before the show. And it was really fun. And that was my pre-show, I guess.
I don't know if I've ever been up to Saratoga. If I had, I'm obviously from Long Island, but like I mentioned, but
me too.
I don't know if I've really been up there.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful up there. It's a lot like more like farmland, kind of like countryside, and it's very pretty, but also suburban. Suburban, so it's very nice. Like wide streets. Main Street is beautiful, and a lot of shopping, and they have the whole season where you go like for the horse races, which I went to as a kid once. It was real fun. But no, Saratoga is great.
It's awesome. I was gonna say it's been a minute, because I've been to Glens Falls and Schenectady and Albany, of course, and Cooperstown further west. Right. Tell me about your journey to the venue and to the show, Marley.
Sure. So I moved out of the city last year, right after the Beacon Run ended. Actually, as soon as they were done, I was like, "Well, there's nothing left for me here." So I live in Hudson now, and I'm about an hour and 15 south of the venue. So I drove straight up. I didn't really have a day off to adventure around, but once the kids were settled and having dinner and stuff, I went straight up there. I think I was literally the last person to get there and get into the parking lot. I got there, 2 or 3 songs into Ziggy Marley's set, probably.
Yeah.
So it was my first time at SPAC. It was a really beautiful venue. I'd heard great things, but I really, really liked it a lot. I'd love to see another show there sometime soon.
Yeah, no, great transition. Tell me about Zach can jump into. Of course, this is casual, so you guys obviously jump in whatever. Yeah. Tell me about approaching the venue and the feel of the place, and maybe I can dig up some pictures as well of the outside. We'll see what I can come up with here.
I met a very nice young lady while we were hanging out, waiting over by the like back entrance towards like the where you come in to the lawn venue area by like one of the springs. I think it was like the Chris Springs or something like that, or I forget what it's called. But we were over there and we were hanging out, just listening to some of the sound check and stuff, and it sounded really cool. You could tell, like that everything was just warming up. And what's amazing is Derek plays like no one's watching when he's at sound check. You can just hear, like, he's not playing for anyone, but you can hear that he's like putting all of it in, and it's like, bro, like, save the juice, save it for us. But it's like he really works it out. So it's like, I'm not going to get into any specifics, but you can hear it. And they really work really, really hard as a band, and you can tell. And, so like walking into the venue, how it works is you come in through either like the side entrance or the lawn, and you have the huge concourse in the back, and there's all sorts of trees and brush and everything like that in the general area lawn. People can set up their chairs. I saw one family bringing in their kids, in a trolley or something. It was very cute. And everybody's got it's like a very family oriented place. And then you've got the covered, pavilion area. So there's an upper section and then the lower section, and it slopes kind of nice and down all the way. And for those folks who are not in the pavilion, there's a lot of big screens in the back and a huge camera crew filming everything. Sound is great in there. During my time in Skidmore, I did a major in physics and acoustics, and we did some tests and different things of just some different spaces like Zank Hell on campus. But I also was talking to my professor about SPAC and how beautifully and well designed it is, and how the speaker array is all set up so that when there's the perfect cancellation of all the different waves from the different speakers, you can get like node points that are basically all throughout the hill, as well as when you're under the pavilion, there's a whole different separate mix. Right. So there's a whole mix.
Is this it there? Is this the right pic? Is this the right picture I got here?
It is. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So there's a whole mix that's separate for a set of speakers outside that pavilion area to specifically tailor to the lawn, with also what's going on under the pavilion, because if you had it in such a way, you'd get these really bad cancellations and delays where you'd have like pockets of dead sound. But so there's a specific array that they've set up for a somewhat of a delay to happen between the speakers relaying from inside the pavilion to outside the pavilion, so that when the sound from inside the pavilion actually reaches the lawn, it hits it at the same time as the speakers on the outside of the pavilion, so you don't have any weird cancellation or echo effects. So it's a very interesting achievement of engineering. And the only dead spot that I really know of is if you see this bridge right here, there's two bridges here. If you sit under the bridge, you can find dead zones where it's like, it kind of just sounds like you're like talking like this in a submarine. It's very like muffled. So you want to kind of get in one of the lawn areas, like just kind of space yourself somewhere either in front of a speaker array or in an opening. That's kind of like central location or off to the left or the right. But it's a great location. It's a great venue. Any seat's a good seat. Merch was pretty good. They had their little Swamp Family poster up there so that everybody can see that they can join in for the membership. Merch was good. There was posters. No signed posters this time though. Usually sometimes they sell signed posters, but for this one they just had limited run of foil and paper posters. But Marley, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, good. Where? So you were in the pit. You said.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah, and where were you? You're actually, before we get to Marley, Zach, you are still crackling a little bit. You might want to pop out and pop back in, or try your phone maybe. Like you're coming in okay, but there's a little crackly every other few sentences or something like that.
All right, let me switch. Let me just switch my mic.
Yeah, and I'll give Marley the floor here. Tell me where you were sitting and kind of your experience getting in the venue.
I was right next to the soundboard, and it was terrific. Sound good? Yeah, I was right next to the soundboard, which is always a good place to park yourself. And I don't know the technological explanations of it, but it did sound really great in there. It's much better than some of the outdoor venues I've been to over the years. I could see right from where I was sitting, I could see all of the clouds, the reflector things up on the ceilings that are designed to kind of push the sound out toward the audience and keep things from getting sort of lost right above the stage where it kind of would naturally project. And yeah, it sounded terrific. It wasn't one of those ones where like the sound where it gets kind of lost in the haze after a little while, or like where you have trouble picking up the specific instruments or anything. It was really, really impressive. You could definitely see a lot of effort had been put into that.
Yeah, I can just tell. I mean, obviously, the three of us have all different levels of technical knowledge, I'm sure, in terms of what's going on behind the scenes and all that. But I can tell that we all appreciate the sound itself and the product and this band and the music, like, to an insane degree. Like, and it's just fun to be able to share that passion with you guys. Let's get into the music. Well, tell me a little bit about Ziggy Marley, because this was his second show with TT. We would have known if Derek or Susan or anyone popped into his set. I think that would have come out.
Yeah, no one really popped in. He keeps a pretty tight set. He starts out with just the band. They started out, like with a little riff, and then he and his two backup singers come out. These two female singers, great singers by the way. They do some percussion stuff too with like little like maracas and shaky things. But and he's got his whole thing where he starts on electric guitar and then he switched to an acoustic guitar. At one point, he kind of just switched to just singing himself. Um, and he did a couple of Bob Marley tunes. Mostly stuff of it was original though. It was very like what you would expect, like Rasta reggae, very good stuff. I kept the groove, it was pretty tight. The bass was awesome. There were some people. Mostly people were sitting during this. I think people were like kind of like saving their energy for TTB. I saw a lot of people, but I did see a lot of folks standing as well, like getting into the groove and dancing. And
Get up.
so yeah, for the most part,
Get
the
Up?
Marley set was good.
Yeah, did he do get up stand up? Because that's what they were saying
Yes.
that he did over in wherever was it, Richmond or wherever the
He
previous
did.
show
He
was.
did get up, stand up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and that kind of got the crowd to get up stand up.
Yeah.
For you guys too.
Yeah, he did a medley of one of his songs, and he did parts of Get Up, Stand Up, and War kind of at the same time.
Right.
And that definitely raised the energy level from what I was hearing before that, and like
Yeah.
I don't know his stuff as well as I probably should. I'm named for his dad, so I know all that stuff forward and backwards and inside out. But I haven't followed him all that closely. But like it's exactly like Zach said. It was a tight set. It was very polished. He certainly like he sounds like his father and moves like him a little bit to a strong degree. Like it's a trippy experience for me because I never got to see Bob Marley. My parents did, and I've seen videos. So that was, and he was really good. And then he did that one jam with a couple of Wailers songs, and then he closed with Is This Love, which is a personal favorite. I sang that to get my kids to sleep for years. So that was very cool, and that definitely got people moving a little bit extra because like that's you're talking about a crowd of there are plenty of middle-aged and older folks in there who've heard those songs a million times and were very into it. So it was good stuff.
That's super
The set
fun.
list had about 14 songs on it, so I saw someone, they were giving out his set list at the end. Someone was able to grab one. There was a lovely family actually in front of me who, a couple, two of them, there was like two seats open next to them, and they let us come up next to them for the rest of the show. Bless them. Actually, you know them, Adam. You tried to get him on the show before. I think Ross is his last name.
I could, maybe I'm not.
But
I'm
yeah,
not
he's
sure.
friends with David Flom, but Flam, but yeah. Anyway, but so he got a set list for Ziggy Marley's set. I saw it had like 14 songs on this list, and like Marley said, it was tight. It was a very like he was able to bang them out. He started at 7:30, was able to get off the stage around 8:30, so that TTB came on at 9.
I feel like that's a fun way to get to start a show with a reggae vibe. We haven't gotten that too much from Tedeschi Trucks, if I recall, over the years. I feel like people people could have some strong opinions about the opening act, which are very diverse for Tedeschi Trucks Band over the years. But I think we all have our favorites that we've seen or that have tagged along with the band over the years. But I would be excited to see Ziggy Marley, certainly.
Yeah.
I guess let's get into Tedeschi Trucks Band here. I can pull up the poster as well for a second and share that.
Oh right, yeah, this is a great poster too.
Yeah, I do like this.
Oh yeah,
very pretty. And the foil one was nice too. It was like a nice shiny. It was very pretty.
Yeah,
do we know anything about the meaning of the poster? The train, the bridge. I'm sure there always seems to be meaning in these.
I tried to figure it out. I'm sure there's a bridge crossing somewhere in the Saratoga area. I haven't seen that one specifically. I know of another bridge, like the Teddy Kazugo bridge. I can never get the name right.
The Unabomber guy bridge. No, it's not him.
Thank you. Well, no, it's the same. It's the same. Different guy. The right, but Marley got it. Yeah.
Revolutionary War guy, Kosciuszko. This looks. I don't know if it's the same bridge. This reminds me more of the bridge that you see at Kingston's probably too far south, but Yeah, it looks like a bridge over the Hudson River. There's some very, very long ones
Right.
that are really nice. It reminds me of that. You can see the guitars on here, and like they've done the
amps.
train theme before a bunch of times. Like with the Made Up Mind, they had the train with the buffalo. So
Yep.
like train rolling down the tracks, and it's very like the Hudson River is so wide. It's got the upstate New York vibe going for it a little bit.
Yep.
It almost does give you kind of the feel of what it might be like to be on a tour bus passing through a place that looks like this and has a very naturey, upstate-ish feel to it, like passing through at sunset or sunrise. It could be. I guess that's kind of ambiguous. This the border of the poster is a stamp, is it not? It looks like a stamp. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, well, it does.
I did not notice that until 10 or 15, 20 seconds ago or something like that. But I thought maybe I was like, when I clipped it, I was like, did I do the border? Did I do something?
Well, no, you see it says product. See, it says product of USA. It's got all the things. Yeah.
It looks
Look
like
at that.
a stamp.
Very cool. And then I like the you see the Roman numerals too for the letters for the year at the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, it would take me a few minutes to. Well, that one's actually fairly straightforward. You can figure out what is what. We got your ticket stub here, your credit card.
Yeah, so this is not the ticket actually. So if this is the piece of paper that the ushers get handed out to them, to kind of check and see like what the different armbands are, what the weather's going to be, what the expected attendance is going to be, the time that each of the different acts come on, the times the doors open. But if you look at what's pretty interesting is there's like an info spot where like they tell them that it's a small show and please make sure to make encore moments for your fans. We're fans making moments for fans, which I just thought was a very nice thing because they're volunteer, so they they know that they're also fans going, so they want to make things like memorable and reasonable. And honestly, SPAC was very reasonable this time around. The staff was really wonderful, really nice, and so I just thought this was kind of funny. And this little photo here in the top right, it's the photo of the band. I had a chance to go back at the end and talk to a couple of the folks. And I spoke to Brandon Boone. He saw I was holding this, and he was like, "Oh wait, let me show you something. This is really funny." Like we all like think that the two drummers Isaac and Falcon, they're like much smaller than the rest of us in this photo. And if you look, it's true because what happened is they were standing on like a little level. And then we're standing much further back than the rest of the band. So perspective-wise, they look tiny. You see?
I guess I could kind of see that. That's something that I would not notice, but I could see if that was me, I would be like something I would notice.
Yeah, no, it's like an inside story. They all pointed out they thought it was hysterical. It's just because the perspective-wise, they look much small. Like see right there. So next to Susan and then next to Derek, there's just like two little.
Yeah, they look like it's very Hobbits and Lord of the Rings. You can't see how far.
Thank you. That's what it looks like. It looks like Frodo and like Bilbo Baggins. Like it looks like like it's very funny perspective wise.
Perspective on it. Yeah, that's funny.
This is kind of a well-known, popular Tedeschi Trucks Band photo. It's like these. I don't know if it's just in our lives because we see
that's Passaquan. Yeah.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Exactly. Passaquan. But like it's become like but this specific photo of the band at Passaquan, like these become like, I don't know, iconic images, like in real life, but also in our lives specifically, of course, as well.
No,
so,
right. Yeah, certainly.
Very, very cool stuff. Should we go on?
Yeah, we can get onto the set list though, because that's the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I'll read it out here. We got, go on.
Well, so I mean, this is great. So for the first, couple of shows of this leg of the tour, we've been having Woman to Woman open up, and what's great about this is the band starts off, just by themselves, and then all of a sudden, about 2 or 3 minutes, two and a half minutes in, Susan walks out, gets a huge clap, and comes Woman to Woman, and boom, just like hits it. And she's got her Les Paul. So, and that this set list here is is Murph's copy. So this is the Susan's guitar tech side. So. Woman to Woman is the way to start this thing starts out. They were going to do I Look Worried, but they go straight into Hurt So Bad. And then if you want to keep reading through it, but I mean, like, I just wanted to say, like, the way they start this show.
Yeah. This was a hot.
Yeah, I was just gonna read off the set list just so the audio people listening on audio know. If we got Fall In, Yes We Will, Take Me As I Am, Circles, Passaquan, Just Won't Burn. Gin House slides in for Everybody's Got to Change Sometime. Part of Me, Looking for Answers, I Wish I Knew. Heartbreaker, I Want More, then Beck's Bolero, Keep on Smiling, and Stand Back. And we got The Hurt So Bad, like you said, sliding in for Duet Liquid. I'll give you guys the floor, and you guys steer the ship, and I'll jump in here and there. Tell me about it. I listened to some of the songs. It looks like Bob Hundert, Mark. Thank you for the recordings past
Bob,
of
thank
this
you.
show. Yeah, so I heard Woman to Woman, Hurt So Bad, Fall In, Yes We Will. I got a chance to hear Circles, and part of Pastor, I think part of it was still uploading, and some of Just Won't Burn, some of Part of Me, and I think I did hear Heartbreaker, but yeah, I'm still getting through it, so I'm looking forward to probably listening to that after this call before the show later today, the Peach Festival. I'll give you guys the floor.
Can I do a couple of things because I only have a few more minutes.
Sure.
So I was really curious to hear Woman to Woman as an opener. It's it's just a great jam. But one thing I have not heard anybody else say is I think they took the horn part from Love and Happiness by Al Green, and they kind of put that in there near the end of the song because I was listening to the Joe Cocker original today, and that horn part is not in there. The bit that goes da 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 da. Like that's not in that song. It just kind of fades out. So it doesn't that's the Joe Cocker song doesn't really have a climax. It just fades out. And I think they figured by the time you've heard 3 or 4 minutes of that, if you're there with anybody else, you're making out or something by then. So it kind of doesn't have like an ending, and they stuck one of my favorite horn parts from any song, any place into it, which is just like, you mixed peanut butter and chocolate and you made something way, way better. It's pretty incredible. Swapping in Hurt So Bad for Do I Look Worried, I felt like, I think that probably just did something for the energy of this show, because that's one where Susan does it up to 11, and this is a really interesting set list because they did almost none of their own old stuff. Like there's only 2 songs from the first, I think 4 albums on here. There's only 2 of them. There's a bunch of songs from I Am the Moon, and there's 3 older Susan songs, but not a lot of old TTB stuff. And
Part of Me and I Want More. Part of Me and I Want More is all I'm saying.
That's all there was. But every 2 or 3 songs, they kept circling back and doing something really bluesy, and there's a lot of like high energy soul R&B stuff with the drummers pushing the pace, and it just kind of felt like the energy was really high all night. And for me, where I started to really feel it was Fall In, that was a huge take on Fall In, where it went almost 10 minutes. Derek took 2 really, really big solos, and I was just so from song 3 for me, I was like, I have rarely heard him sound this good, and I've been seeing him for almost 25 years now. And it just stayed on that level for me. Song, Fall In and Take Me As I Am, I was like, I think this is already one of the best shows I've ever seen. I'm
laughing because that's what everybody says. Everybody says the current show is the best show. I've never heard them sound this good.
Yeah, for me, but for me, having seen Derek as many times as I have, by around there, I was like, I just don't know, whatever his ceiling might be. I don't know if I've ever heard him get this close to it. I felt like all night there were spots where usually he'd play a phrase and stop and then do something else. And instead it just felt like he would build on every idea and then jump right into something else. It just didn't feel like there were a lot of pauses or a lot of play a lick and stop. It just felt like a lot of things flowed continuously in a way I just haven't heard a lot of times. And I was like, is this really going to last all show? And I just felt like it did. It was really fascinating. It was just amazing stuff. And I've only heard a couple of the songs on the internet today. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the whole show, but I just thought it was a stoner. I thought he was at an amazing level, and Susan sounded great too. It was some of her best guitar playing that I've heard too. So those are
Yeah.
that's
About that, I'd never seen her play slide in a really long time, and she did
oh
slide on Looking for Answers.
yeah, I haven't
Right,
either.
yeah.
Even with the Allman Brothers, when you had Warren and Derek, very rarely you had them both on slide at the same time. Like they usually, it was either like you play slide or I play slide. But Susan she did a couple of chords on it just during the verses. And no, I've seen her solo band a few times, and I don't remember specifically if I'd heard her do that on that song. But
I think on
don't.
this song, yeah, she busts out the slide. Yeah.
But she made a comment about like that she put that song in the set list for I think
Her brother.
sister-in-law, and that they don't do it a lot, and I hadn't heard them do it. So hearing her play slide was not something I remember experiencing before.
Well,
Not
yeah, the
as
reason
much
this set
lately.
list.
You're gone.
Oh, sorry. The reason that this
I know,
set list is so packed is because it was Susan's brother's birthday, and he was in the audience that night.
Oh,
So she was putting together a set list that was going to blow him away. He was happy the entire time, you could tell, because she was looking at him, he was looking at her. They were so fantastic. So I came out of this and I was like, this is a perfect set, honestly, a perfect set list, because everything that's in here, you've got new stuff going back to Susan's roots, Susan's old stuff, Derek's old stuff with Stand Back, right, with Allman Brothers, like. You've got a new thing, Heartbreaker, which is something that apparently Mike Madison wants to do some Rolling Stones album, like some covers album. So this is like
Is that a real
a
thing?
potential
Is that a real
for that.
thing, or is that an actual thing happening? Or,
I mean, that's something that I heard.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, he does.
I'm kidding. That's a joke. That's all speculation.
No,
It's hearsay. Come on.
no, but he does do a lot of Stones covers, so that would be something that's super cool. But back to Derek for a second, and on his playing on Fallen and all, and just even other.
Oh yeah, that
songs,
too.
and just how he continues to evolve and get better, and even like experiment. But when like you think of experimenting, guitars experimenting, sometimes maybe can become more focused on technical playing or playing new chords or new progression or whatever the case may be, but like he doesn't lose any emotional quality, and that's what it increases even more. So like it's like when I say like Derek evolves and gets better, it's like his the emotional quality of his playing continues as he continues to experiment with new sounds that make even more human like he's making it sing even more in 2023 than he did in 2022 and in 2021 than even as a kid. But you still go back and listen to him as a kid, and you get like that signature. His tone was there, his sound was there, and his style has always been there. Certainly,
yeah. Certainly, I mean, he did some experimenting in Circles Around the Sun. We got an extended Circles Around the Sun last night, and then into a really nice long Passaquan. So there were at least like 2 or 3 solos that were not normally in there.
I listened to Circles rather maybe half hour ago, and I was almost about to message you saying Derek's gonna make my head explode right now. This is insane what he's doing on this song. Like
it was nuts. It was nuts to watch because his finger does this crazy thing where it's almost like in space and vibrating, like you have no idea how fast it's going. You know, it's an unbelievable thing to watch.
There's
you guys are both. Yeah, Marley, you play a little guitar. You're a guitar player as well.
A little bit, not as much the last couple of years, but yeah, I started playing. Oh gosh, I was 12 or something, so we're getting close to 30 years. Yeah, I play, and I like. I've done my best to rip off things that Derek does, and you just realize there are things that 99.99% of people cannot do that he can do, and that's just kind of how it is. It's an education.
Yeah, I think of it as going to like a college class.
Yeah, it's just cool that we all can appreciate him on that level because we all play. Sheldon Harvey says hi from Montreal. I was in Saratoga for the show. This is my 6th CTB concert. And I think it was the best of the 6, which just continues the theme of the current show is the best show. Thanks, Sheldon.
Yeah, my thing with like most shows, I figure no matter how good or bad it is, like somebody always thinks it's the best one they ever saw. There's probably somebody who always leaves thinking it was the worst. who knows what the band thinks, because they have their own takes, and like, because they are
Well,
looking from a totally different point of view. But like, yeah, for me, this was just a total stunner. And it was interesting to me because Zach, you love the set list. Like, if I had been there drawing up a set list, it would not have looked very much like this.
right.
If I think of my, some shows you get like 4 or 6 favorite songs or something, and like, there's no Idle Wind here, there's no Midnight in Harlem here. I love A Gilded Splinters, and like, having heard the way this played out, wouldn't have changed a thing. There was just something about the way all of this stuff flowed together. Like, I didn't care what they were playing; they just played it all so well. And like, there weren't any long breaks between songs. Like, it really felt like there was always just one beat between songs, and they just jumped into the next thing, and it just stayed really, really hot and really quick the whole time.
As much as I love a 2-set Tedeschi Trucks Band show, when they have to do one set and they have to squeeze in what they have to do and do their best, like, phenomenal job, what they got to do and go to work, like, dude, they bring it home. Like this, I mean, for example, there was a moment in at the start of Circles where like he teased, I think it was like Anyhow for like 4 notes or something. He teased the intro and then went into Circles or something like that. Or maybe it was Somehow. He teased something, like you'll hear it when it uploads again.
Yeah. You know what? I thought I did pick up on something like that there. I'm going to have to listen to that again and see.
Yeah,
He
there was like a
teased-
quick intro, and then I laughed because I was like, "Oh no, he's going into something else." And then same thing with Part of Me. He did I Can Feel You Smiling at the very beginning, and then went straight into Part of Me, which was great. Again,
I really wanted to hear that one. That's very funny.
yeah.
It was somewhere late in the set, and I don't remember what they were playing at this moment, where I went, "Oh, I'd really love him to do Stand Back here," and they did something else, and
Yeah.
then they threw out Stand Back at the very end, and I was like, "Well, whatever I was feeling, there it is."
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's great too because the Stand Back is Allman Brothers, but the Keep on Smiling is one that they picked up like for this leg of the tour, I think, which was the Wet Willie tune, the Macon, Georgia band. So I think they premiered that the day before they went to Georgia, right? Am I right on that?
They've played it a handful of times, I think. This probably
Yeah?
this week since they picked things
I
back up
think it did come out for this
Right.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So I think it premiered Jacksonville.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wet Willie was on Capricorn with the Allman Brothers starting in like 71, 72.
Right. So it makes sense to pair them.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't even think of that.
If I can do a little personal story before I go, that's a song that really hits me deeply because, going all the way back 2009, Allman Brothers, their 40th anniversary Beacon Run. I was at a bunch of those.
I was there.
Oh, well, there you go. Oh, goodness. How old were you? You were 11 or something?
Really young. Yeah, I'm like 26 now, so that was a long time ago.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah, you were. I was a very young fan when I got started in the late 90s. And yeah, that's even younger than I was when I started. So 2009, my youngest brother was going through a really bad health crisis. He was going in for cancer treatment, and he saw most of those shows because of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I think I've told Adam this story, but my mom was trying to talk him into like, wouldn't you like to go to Bali or Bora Bora or somewhere tropical? And he's like, no, I want to see the Allman Brothers at the Beacon a lot, even more than every other year. And she was just like, fine. But we saw a ton of those. And we had dinner with Derek and Oteil after a show one night, and my brother Tyler and Oteil really hit it off. He stayed in touch with both of them for the rest of his life for the next year and a half or so.
Yeah.
But he hit it off with Oteil, and he went backstage. He hung out with Oteil for a whole show, and he told Oteil somewhere along the way, like, I play bass a little bit. And Oteil said, "Oh, bring your bass to the next show. I'll use it." And he actually did. And if there's a video on YouTube somewhere, you can see them play. I think it was Soul Shine with Kid Rock, which was that happened. And then it was Keep on Smiling. They brought Jimmy Hall out for Keep on Smiling. And I know the video of that one is still on YouTube, and you can see Oteil playing this red SG bass that he has never played any other time or place, and that was my little brother Tyler's. That was from the Tyler Seaman collection, and Oteil held on to it for a minute and let Barry Dwayne Oakley borrow it for one show. Then they did another one for Woody show, which I think was the next year. He played that also on Wish You Were Here. I just remembered that. It's not the best time to remember that because Tyler had passed by then. It was very accidentally emotional for me. So whenever
that's a beautiful story, though.
Whenever I hear that song, whoever's version of it, I'm always thinking of that moment because I was very excited, but my brother was just over the moon at that point to get to have that connection with Oteil and the Allmans there. And I don't know if you knew that song at all before that moment. I don't think I did. So for it to just happen to find its way into Derek and Susan's set list, 10 or 12 years later is a really cool thing. And that was a really nice moment to just have that round up that show with.
Oh man, I appreciate you sharing all that. That means a lot to me, and that's such a cool story. I'm already clipping it for social media and for YouTube. And I appreciate you coming back on and for sharing the stories about your brother initially. I would definitely be happy and excited to link to any of those videos. I think you still have a foundation for your brother as well, so I'm happy to share that around if that's still a thing. But yeah, good story, great story. What a connection!
I believe there is. I will send that to you right now. I know it's every now and then. Can I drop this in the chat?
What's that? What did you just say? I missed what you just said. I'm kind of curious.
I'm sorry. I was just saying. I was trying to figure out. I'll drop this in the private chat, and you can figure out how to share it. But that's the Allman playing that song with Oteil playing that bass.
Yeah, very cool.
Even apart from all of that stuff, really, really great. Jimmy Hall was a terrific showman. He really brought it for that one. That's pretty much everything for me. I will say before I log off now, the jam into I Wish I Knew, which is another personal favorite, really terrific. Ephraim got a really nice spotlight there. It was just this really great kind of high energy gospel R&B type of jam that I could not figure out what they were going to play, which is, if you've seen or heard the band a bunch of times, you can usually kind of figure out like where it's going to go. And maybe I was off my game personally, but I did not know what they were going to do. And that was just a really terrific thing to start to round up that show with. So
no, the band loves the element of surprise.
Yeah.
Zach, did you know that was going to go into I Wish I Knew? Because I feel like it has a sort of familiar tempo and the horns start, and you kind of
when you hear the bum bum bum.
You guys are pretty good at
and you can get the sax, you can boom, and when it all comes in, it's I Wish I Knew.
Yes.
Maybe initially maybe there's
but when you hear that from the horns and like they do some like throw back and forth between bass and Ephraim and back and forth, when you see that and you see Derek walk over towards the horn section, you're like, okay, like he's gonna like lead something up, something's coming off, and you're gonna get a bum ba ba. If he's like in between Gabe and the drums and the horns, it means he's like working something out with them. He's gonna be like giving them cues because they all look to him for cues. He's the band leader. He's great at it. He's one of the best band leaders that I've seen. So like you can watch Derek and know what's gonna happen.
I wonder if we're getting more of these Derek teases of other TTB, I guess, original songs in these sets because they are one set. So it's almost like an acknowledgement, like we want to play more, we want to play as much as we would, want us to. We want to play your favorite song. So it's like Derek's way of maybe just saying, oh, here's a little nod to it. I think he played a Learn How to Love lick before Passaquan. I think
that's probably what I was thinking.
Trap, yeah, and he only played it once.
That's what I was.
Like, Learn How to Love.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Is that it was going to be Learn How to Love, and then he goes Passaquan. And I was like, oh, that's what it is. So it wasn't anyhow or somehow. Sorry.
Yeah, that one's on that. Yeah, I was gonna say that one's on YouTube too. That I think that whole video that Live for Live Music Jam Base, one of those sites.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm almost used to covering three, 4 shows in a recap. Anything else on the set list? I'll pull it up here one more time here so we can.
I think that's everything for me. Like give this one a listen if you have a minute. It was a stunner. Like no wasted time in this one either. Like this is a they do want to play as much as they can. Like they started it they were playing by like 9:02 and they took it about to what was it
11:15.
They stopped. They want to get in everything they can because they only have a limited amount of time. But I thought it was a great show. It's probably the only one I'm going to get this summer. So
yeah.
I was really excited. I had a terrific time with this one. Adam, it's great to talk to you again. And Zach, it's good to meet you a little bit.
Nice to meet you.
I'm going to
great.
We got to do dinner, but it's great to meet the two of you. Have a great night.
Oh, for sure. Thanks again, Marley. I appreciate it. Enjoy your evening. Sure. Later. So then there were two. What I was going to comment on was Susan, and going back to Hurt So Bad, just add a couple more comments about that. Just like, obviously the guitar is awesome, but specifically, especially, of course, the powerhouse vocal. It just kind of continues from when she first steps on the stage for her first lines of Woman to Woman. That totally captures the audience and just continues on to Hurt So Bad, which is interesting that you guys talk about that sort of helping establish the energy along with Fallen after that, because Hurt So Bad is not a fast song. It's not a dark blues or slow blues, but it's a heavy emotional song. And just like to be the second song in the night, she gives it all every song though. Every song.
And it's strange that you could see they wanted to play Do I Look Worried, but she was like, no, I got to play Hurt So Bad because, she's, again, this show was for her brother, basically, for his birthday. So, like, she wants to go back and do all of the old Susan hits, like Gin House Blues and, what else was on there? Yeah, and Hurt So Bad and Woman to, like, Looking for Answers is an older one. So it's like, she wanted to, Just Won't Burn, too. So, those are a lot of her early stuff, like early hits that you would hear her doing when she was, for example, like in Boston, doing her circuit, So like I feel like this was like this one's for my brother kind of show, which she said, and like she really gave it, and the band gave it too. But one thing that was interesting was when I was talking to Brandon, is he said that he felt like he made a mistake or something during the night and it wasn't perfect or whatever. And I was like, but dude, like some of the best records have mistakes in them and they're classics, and it's about and like the mistakes make a record great. And he was like, you know what, you're exactly right. Like, yeah. And so, yeah, sure, there were like a flub or two here or there, but you know what? It makes for live music. It makes it for an in the moment thing. And then it actually makes Susan want to play better, because she had a little thing. She did something, whatever, and was like, no, blah, and went like harder into it and like ripped a solo. And like, so not every night's going to be perfect, like for these guys, you could think of it as like, this is their equivalent of the office job, right? Like they could just like put it in one day, but, and like, the next day rip it if they wanted to and like work really hard. But no, they put it out, put everything out on the table every night. And if something doesn't go the way that they want, they make sure it gets corrected. So like they're a great band.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen, I feel like I agree. And I feel like I've seen Susan like either like miss a lyric or maybe something technical is going on.
Right.
And then like literally take it out on her guitar with the ensuing solo.
Yes.
Like, like it like her maybe frustration or whatever, but like you can feel that emotion. And that's all part of the show, really, is just like, seeing those moments where things may not be 100% perfect, which is far and few between, but also the story of the band and the story of them being on stage, like the interactions between the band and Derek directing them and conducting them and breaking a string and seeing how that's handled, whether it's him changing it quickly, getting a new guitar, Gabe filling in or something like that. It's all part of the whole narrative of the night as a fan. Even beyond the music, is just watching them all interact with each other. It's like I don't know. I feel like that's is that maybe unique to watching Tedeschi Trucks Band itself compared to watching other bands that may be big ensembles as well. But because I feel like the show is the show when you're seeing another show. The audience is the band is there to entertain us and play their music. But part of the show with Tedeschi Trucks Band is, of course, the amazing music itself, but it's also, I feel like, watching the band's interaction with each other because, because they're close,
So
they're family,
I mean,
so it's an intimate
Susan is a
experience for us.
student. Susan is a student of Berkeley College, and at Berkeley College they teach musicianship. And musicianship is knowing how to play off of others, knowing when to play, knowing when not to play, when to talk, with your instrument, what to say, what not to say, how to say it, phrasing and dynamics control and everything like that, and interactions with the folks that you're playing on stage with, because basically, birds of a feather fly together, right? So like they're all the same bird, they're all carrying the same thing, they're each a part of the wing, right? So working together is like a living, breathing, almost like an animal. Like the entire thing is like this living, breathing entity, and watching them interact with one another. It's like you learn how to be a musician by watching them, by keying in on different people, watching where Derek looks and how he cues Elizabeth to go for a trombone solo, or how he looks over to Alicia with his chin and goes like this, and that she knows that means that she can go and sing because she knows what it means to be free, like all these things. So and you then watch how Derek looks over at the drums and then completely lets go and just kind of sits there and listens and lets them go and does the whole thing, because he knows his musicians are talented too, so he knows that he wants to let them explore in their craft. Like what he did something during Passaquan, which was absolutely insane, which was this very like, or maybe it was Circles, it was the whole jam. It was like almost like this John Coltrane type, like ba-da-dum, 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 ba-da-dum. And I was like, is he Kebby? Like, what is he doing? Like, he was playing guitar like very much like Kebby. And you watch, and I look over at the horns, and they're like, whoa, like what's going on over there? And it was the craziest thing. And then he tosses it over to the horns, and it's this great like playing dynamic of everybody like just learning from one another, and I was like just mesmerized to just see how they interact with one another, and like how they, like how Derek like, pulls back or puts forward, or like tosses to Gabe and everything. Like it's a very, very neat experience.
I feel like I could hear the band stealing each other's licks. Like I could hear Kebby sometimes doing a Derek lick and Derek doing a Kebby lick sometimes later that night, sometimes on the same song a night or two later. I feel like I heard this a lot with Kofi and Derek, like just like,
yes,
obviously, especially when they're doing call and response with each other, you might hear some of the same licks. But even beyond that, like when they're doing their solos on like something like Let Me Get By or whatever the case may be, like I'd be like, isn't that what Kofi played last night on the archive.org version I'm listening to? Now Derek's playing that.
I've definitely heard Derek and Mark like exchange things. Like I will say, isn't that something that like Mark's saying? Like that sounds like because he'll go like wah, wah, bah, 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 on the slide, and Mark will go, my mind is made up, which is the exact same lick, but he'll transfer, which is like crazy. It's great. It's like a great steal from your friend,
I'm super familiar with everyone in this band and their instruments and their voices, but there's moments where I'll hear a sound and I'm not totally sure where it's coming from because it has such a vocal, musical quality. And I'm like, that could have been a Susan voice, or maybe that was a guitar slide. I'm not sure what. Like you cannot. Yeah. There are moments where like I'm not even sure what I'm hearing right now, but it just sounds so musical. Like especially obviously Derek's vocal quality with his playing. Anything else we should cover or talk about related to this show? I appreciate the time and the recap. Certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really covered it all. The show was fantastic. Everyone was on top tier, and I can't wait for them to belt it out later today at Peach Fest. They were excited to travel down there.
Right, and I will be recapping that one shortly after as well. And I do have a feeling we are going to get a Midnight in Harlem at that, and probably a Gilded Splinters as well. But we'll have to see on that. But on that note, I definitely appreciate your time.
Thanks. And if you want, I can stick around for that recap too.
Yeah, we can talk about that. We can talk about that for sure. I might open it up to whoever wants to pop in for that, because obviously it's streaming on
Oh yeah,
Nug,
yeah,
so
true. You got you.
whoever's still awake and is watching it and wants to talk about it, and especially if I know
Yep.
who you are and you're a fan of the show or been on the show, rather, is what I meant to say.
Sure.
That's good too. But I'll let you get on with the rest of your day and enjoy the performance, the Peach Fest.
Thank
And
you.
we'll talk more.
Go eat a
Cool.
peach.
Take it easy. I will. Take it easy, Zach. Later.
Take care.
So there you go. Episode 123, recapping Tedeschi Trucks Band at SPAC, Saratoga Springs. That was super fun. I appreciate Zach and I appreciate Marley and the personal stories. That means a lot to me that he shares that with me and the audience, and Zach, of course. I'm still looking at the set list from last night on my other monitor. Just stellar stuff. Can't wait to dive back in, and as each song starts to, I'm guessing, still get uploaded slowly to the archive. Thank you, Bob 100 Mark, for that. Let's see, what do we got here? Hope everyone's doing okay out there. For more, check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com. That's the website, and it links to my link tree where you can get all things related to the show, how to subscribe, how to listen, how to watch, all that great stuff. Links to the band, of course, Tedeschi Trucks Band.com. That's their official website. Definitely check that out. Buy merch, buy tickets to shows, join the Swamp Family Fan Club. If you join, you get access code, I believe, to see tonight's show on Nugs is included with that. So now is the perfect time to do that. And again, I will be recapping that show approximately around 10:45 p.m. That's Sunday night. What is today? The 2nd of July Eastern time. I'll be doing that shortly after the band leaves the stage. But I think that's about all I got for today for this episode, or at least for now, until we reconvene later tonight for another live stream after the show on nugs.net. But on that note, thanks again, everyone. And let's talk soon. Peace.